Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm Randy Robbins, those of you that don't know me, and I just wanted to thank everybody right up front for all of your support of the Pass Action Group in our efforts to stop the warehouse. And that's the main thing. We're mainly here today. We're going to be hearing, I think he's still on the screen, we're going to be hearing from our attorney, Kevin Bundy, in a few minutes here. But I wanted to just go over a couple things really quick. I just wanted to really thank everybody, every supporter, but especially the board of directors of the Pass Action Group. I haven't been giving them a shout out the last couple town halls, so I'm doing it today. Sherry Flynn, and raise your hand or stand up if you're in the house, one of the board members. Sherry Flynn. Diane Burley. Bruce Brown. Jim Moran. Gracie Luna. John Swam. Jan Fleming. Jim Corrigan. Ron Roy. Lori Matsushita. Harry Finnegan, he's back in the back. Bob Hicks, and last but not least, our treasurer, Jeannie Lloyd, who's going to be sitting up front today if you have any reason to visit her. I'd also like to thank the different committees that we've had putting together, the fundraiser committee and a couple different ones. I've named a couple here. I know I'm not naming everybody, so if I've missed you, I apologize. Dennis Marin, Sue Brown, Debbie Robbins, Mike Collins, who's taken over as our webmaster and is doing a great job, and Marcia Rudak and Peggy Heaton have been helping with fundraising and other stuff. So if I left anybody off of the committees, I appreciate all your help. We'd also had some previous board members and committee volunteers that have moved on, done something different, but they're all still supporters. Every one of them, I want to thank them, even though they're not in the room getting name recognition. I appreciate everything. They've been great advocates and supporters for this. As I've said before, I want to thank everybody in the room, everybody that's online, able to see it once we post it to the Facebook page, and just to thank everybody and those on Channel 97. We appreciate your support. I'm going to turn it over to Diane Burley right now, and she's going to give a quick introduction to Mr. Bundy.
Okay. It is my pleasure to introduce everyone to Kevin Bundy, our attorney representing Pass Action Group in the lawsuit against the City of Banning and Creation Equity, the developer proposing the warehouse. Kevin has dedicated his career to litigating environmental issues. He received his undergraduate degree from Oberlin College and his JD from the University of California at Berkeley, one of the top law schools in the country. After graduation, he served in a judicial clerkship for the Honorable He served in a judicial clerkship for the Honorable Proctor Hug in the Ninth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals and a district court judge as well. Kevin currently is a partner at SHUTE, MIHALEY, and WEINBERGER, specializing in environmental litigation and related land use issues. Prior to his tenure at SM&W, he was a senior attorney and climate legal director at the Center for Biodiversity. He has served on the Sierra Club California's Legislative Committee for more than 15 years, and he has argued environmental cases at the trial and appellate level in the California and federal courts. Kevin has litigated and settled numerous CEQA and land use cases involving warehouses and other issues. In one of his most noteworthy warehouse cases, Kevin represented the Sierra Club in a CEQA lawsuit challenging the World Logistics Center in Moreno Valley. He negotiated a settlement in which the developer agreed to $47 million in commitments and benefits to reduce greenhouse gases and mitigate the impact on the surrounding community. And with that, I will turn this over to Kevin.
And Diane, I can see you there. I don't know if you've given a bit of an introduction already, or you have. Okay, great. I'll skip that part. Thank you for whatever introduction you gave. I wish I'd been able to hear it. Anyway, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to speak briefly to the community about the case challenging the Banning Point project. And it really heartens me to see such a packed room there. The folks at Pass Action Group have told me how engaged and active this community is with respect to this issue. And I can tell, seeing all the faces sitting in this room, just how true that is. So I want to thank all of you for coming out and being part of this and supporting this effort. I do have to say just a couple things at the outset. I know folks are very interested to hear what's going on with the litigation, and I'll give you an overview on that based on the public documents that we filed with the court. I'm not going to be able to discuss confidential matters or legal strategy at a public meeting like this one. I just wanted to put that out there. So if you have follow-up questions, I would encourage you to talk to somebody at Pass Action Group, and if there's something they feel like they want to contact me about, I'm hoping they can follow up. So I'll talk a little bit about where things stand with the case, and then maybe try to put this in broader context, because this is not the only community that's facing an issue like this. So quickly, an update on where the litigation stands. I'm assuming people in the community are familiar with the Banning Point project, with the background. I'm not going to go back over all that. But as you know, the city approved the project back in February of 2022, and Pass Action Group filed its action challenging the project in March 2022. Now, I know that may seem like a long time, but preliminary matters in cases like this can actually take quite a while. But I do want you to know that things are moving along, and we're almost through the first kind of preliminary stage of the case already. That first stage involves preparation of what's known as the administrative record. Now, this case is not like, I apologize to lawyers in the audience who might already know all this, but this case is not the kind of case you see on television. My life as a lawyer would not televise very well, but we're not going to have a trial like you might have seen where, lawyers will be putting on witnesses or cross-examining people or introducing evidence. The evidence for this case is all contained in an administrative record. And this is basically all the documents that were in the city's files concerning the project up to and including the time of approval back in February. Things like the project plans, environmental studies that the developer did, but there are environmental studies that we're saying the city did not do, but all the correspondence back and forth between the city and members of the public, between the city and the developer. All of those documents are going to be essentially the universe of evidence, the record for decision of this case. The developer's lawyers have been pulling all those documents together and organizing them in a specific format that the rules of court require. And we are now in the middle of reviewing what they've prepared. They've sent us a draft record and the documents that they think should be included. And we're basically trying to figure out whether anything's missing, just to make sure that all the evidence we want to rely on to make our case is included in that record. We'll be wrapping that review up towards the end of the month or very beginning of October. What'll happen next is that we have a status conference with the judge on September 30th, a week from this coming Friday. And the major topic at that conference is going to be the schedule for the rest of the case. And this will involve both sides filing legal briefs, essentially written arguments, laying out why we think we're right. They'll lay out why they think they're right. We'll get an opening brief, they'll get an opposition and response, and then we'll get to reply to their arguments in a final reply brief. The parties filed a joint statement with the court back in August, agreeing on a schedule, a tentative schedule for that briefing, which will be done around the 1st of March next year. That may seem like a long time, again, but it's fairly typical in these kinds of cases. The court may... And after that point, the case would proceed to argument and decision. After the briefing is done, the court will hold a hearing where the parties will present their arguments. That hearing hasn't been set yet. It's not on the calendar yet, but my best guess is that that'll happen probably sometime in April next year. And after that hearing, the court will have 90 days to make a decision. Some courts will turn around decisions very quickly after a hearing. Some courts will take closer to the 90 days. The law is that a judge can't get paid if they've got a case that they've had under submission, if they've got a case that's been fully argued and sitting in front of them for more than 90 days. So there's a good incentive to kind of move that along, but it depends on it depends on each court how quickly or how long they'll take to resolve a case like this. But I'm thinking the case should be resolved, at least in the Superior Court, by late spring or early summer. The big question on everybody's mind is probably, are we going to win? And no responsible lawyer is going to sit here and guarantee victory. You just can't do that. I've had cases where really good arguments didn't prevail, and I've had other cases where what I thought were tough arguments did prevail. We think we have some very good claims here, and we think we have some very good evidence in the record to back up those claims. And what we're going to do is everything we can to present those claims clearly and persuasively in the written briefs and in the argument at the hearing. And after that, it's going to be up to the court. So what happens if we do win? This is also something that's really important to keep in mind. A victory in court wouldn't necessarily mean that the developer can never build the project. That's not what the law provides. It's not what these cases do. What it could mean is that this case would have to go back to the city council, that the approval of the project that was issued earlier this year would be set aside, would be vacated, and the city would essentially have to start over, undertake perhaps more review, reconsider the project. And this is really important because I think for me it underscores something that throughout my experience I've always wanted to pass on to groups like yours, is that litigation is a really important piece of the puzzle, but it's really only one piece. It's not the whole thing. The work your awareness to make your opposition clear is really the critical work. That's how you'll change the context for if and when this project ever comes back to the city council. That's how you'll change the political context for these kinds of decisions in the future. It's important that if we're fortunate enough to win this case and it goes back to the city council, your elected representatives will know you're watching and will hold them accountable when they make decisions. Again, I think that, like I said at the beginning, your community is not alone. There are communities all over California, particularly in the Inland Empire and the Central Valley, that are being inundated with these warehouse projects, that are dealing with all kinds of truck traffic, air pollution, noise pollution, problems that come along with these kinds of projects. Each project may be a little bit different. Each city or county that's reviewing these projects may treat them a little bit differently. But communities are fighting back all over the state. You're really not alone in this. And it is starting to get attention of some people in Sacramento. At least there was a bill some of you may be familiar with, AB 2840. It's introduced by Assemblymember Reyes in the last legislative session that, as drafted, as initially proposed, would have created a 1,000-foot buffer zone between warehouse projects like this one and homes or schools or healthcare facilities. That bill didn't pass this year. It got through the Assembly and it died in the Senate. But that doesn't mean that this kind of thing can't pass. It doesn't mean that it's impossible. These things sometimes take 2 or 3 tries before they get through. And just to give you one example, just last Friday, Governor Newsom signed a bill creating similar buffer zones around oil and gas development. And even just a couple years ago, I would never have expected that that could pass the legislature or be signed by the governor. But lots of people in different communities around the state did a lot of hard work to make their concerns about the health and safety impacts of that kind of development known. That should be cause for optimism because a lot of that work is ongoing in communities like yours all over the state. You're doing that hard work now. You're standing up, you're making your voices heard, you're working to protect your homes and your community. And what we'll do is everything that we can to make sure that the legal part of that comes out right. That's what I really wanted to say to you this afternoon. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you. I'm sorry that I can't hear, you, but I'm hoping that at least that addresses some of your questions, and I'm hoping that any further questions you might have, folks at Pass Action Group can pass back along to me. Again, thank you so much for turning out and for your support of this effort.
Go ahead and applause. Yeah, he'll see that. We've got a camera for him. He'll see that. All right. Well, we're all set. Thank you. All right. Okay, hold on. I'm not sure how to turn it off, so. Looks like it off. Now we get all of you on TV. So, okay, well, that was Kevin Bundy. I apologize for the audio issues and the feedback, and we did the best we could. Believe it or not, unfortunately, or believe it or not, it was probably evident, this was the first time we've actually done a Zoom in this room. So, thank you, Huron. Before we go on to too much more, one of the things that he commented on, and we're going to touch on this just very lightly today, is Kevin commented on the fact that we have change in the city council. We were told that from day one. I think I've shared that at previous meetings. We do have, the mayor had resigned, and now Rick Minhars is the new representative of District 2. By the end of the year, we'll have a new representative in District 3, which is our district. So we're hoping, obviously the hope, if it doesn't as a full stop, as we've said all along, if it's not a full stop, we are hoping that we will be able to, if it goes back to, I'll call it a redo for lack of a better word, if it goes back to that, then we will be able to, we will have at least 2 new members of the city council, and again, like he said, we will be the watchdogs, not just the Pass Action Group, but every one of us be the watchdogs for that kind of stuff. So, Diane or Sherry, do you want to add anything that in response to what Kevin had to say? Okay, so I think he covered it pretty good on what we need to do. And that was the main purpose of today's thing. One couple other announcements I want to make really quick, and then I'll go over a couple of other things. One of our residents, Dory Gartsky, has been sending out some flyers on her own to collect recyclables, help you get them out, and she's made quite a few donations already from that to the Pass Action Group. That's all on behalf. She's not working directly with us, but she's making the donations directly to us, and we appreciate that. As I've said at previous town halls, all our bills are paid. We do not have our August attorney bill yet, and then of course September, but everything through July is fully paid. We still have a reasonable amount of money, but being as it's a public forum, we're not getting into that because we don't want to let everybody know, not everybody meaning the outside people, the developers, the city, know exactly where we're at, and I know we've had support for that approach previously. So if anybody does have any questions, we can get you with the treasurer. She's actually going to be gone for a few weeks, so just get in touch with me and we can get you any information you want regarding the finances. It is not a secret. We're just not putting it out over public airwaves. I hope you understand that. So the next question becomes, all along, as we've just kind of talked about, spreading the word, supporting us through the spreading of the word, supporting us through donations. We've sent letters to our council members. We've sent letters to the editor. We'll continue to do that. Keep them realizing, keep the county or the city officials understanding where we are at and that we are here and we're paying attention. I personally, we as Kevin expressed, we have some emails as part of the administrative record to the tune of almost 3,000 of them. And today I went through 400 of them, just trying to figure out which ones are pertinent. So we're working on that project. Sherry's did it with another group of 300 or 400, right? Sherry's been doing that for the last couple of days. So that's what we're going to continue to do. We're going to continue this diligence. That's our goal. And that's what we're here for. And I still cannot believe the support and what we've gotten. It's been almost 11 months now since that first planning commission meeting. which was on October 19th, 2021. And the energy that this community has put forth to try to right this wrong is just phenomenal to me. That's just my personal comment. Once we get through this, there may be the Sunset Crossroads project, which is east of our executive course, between Sunset and Executive course. Currently, we are only, because they're still in the early enough stages, currently we are fighting only the Banning Point warehouse. Okay, just because I know that I get asked that question all the time. Are we going to be fighting Sunset Crossroads? Currently, based on our mission statement, we are fighting Banning Point. After this is done, or if they overlap, then we will have another town hall. We'll decide the direction we want to go as a group. If another group starts up, or we started up, whatever we end up doing, we don't know the answer to that. So at this time, we can open up, if anybody has any questions and they want to come up to the podium, we need you to come up here so that we can get you on camera and audio. So much for the audio earlier, but so anyway, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and come on up to the podium, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Pine Valley Road, right here in Sun Lakes. And I have a question. I understand that the Attorney General for the state is very interested in what is happening with regard to these warehouses. Have we approached the Attorney General, and is he behind us in this? Is he an advocate with us against the developers?
Sherry will answer that.
Okay. When we turned in the lawsuit, it automatically goes to the Attorney General, Bonta, and he gets to review all of the lawsuits like this, but so far we haven't had any feedback from him. He may or may not get involved.
Then I have a follow-up question. We've gone to Mr. Ruiz. Does it make sense for us to go to Ruiz, to go to the Attorney General? Can we get a statement from the Attorney General that he's aware of this and that he is an advocate for us?
Okay. You're talking about Representative Ruiz, Dr. Ruiz. He is our representative in Washington.
I know.
He's not at the state level. So while he may support what we're doing, he really doesn't have any effect on it either way.
It's all one government.
Yes, but
It's all one government. It seems to me that someone that's on a national level should be able to speak with an Attorney General on a state level.
And it's possible that he could. I will answer that. I spoke to his #1 administrative assistant about 6 months ago. I was told I would hear back from him in 30 days. I have yet to hear back from him, and I've sent 3 other emails. That's just a statement of fact. No opinion, just a statement of fact.
Thank you.
I am Lynette Smilak, and I live over at the Four Seasons. And I need some clarification. You mentioned this other warehouse project. Is that the, I thought it was called the Summit? That it,
No, the Summit Warehouse you referred to was one of them over in Beaumont, quite a ways away. The Sunset Crossroads is the one right over here.
the Crossroads, in other words, by the one that's being built in Cherry Valley?
No, it's right here at Sunset Avenue and the 10 freeway. And it hasn't been built yet,
okay.
it's still in the early stages.
Okay. Because to me, pass action means the whole pass, not just banning. Because there is that one that actually, and I believe that's the one that's called the Summit, over by,
In Beaumont, correct.
yes.
Yeah.
So to me, the pass action shouldn't, and I'm glad you did bring that up, that it shouldn't just be banning or be here, it should be what's going on throughout the whole pass. And,
Yeah, this, it was.
but if
started as-
we wait until
Yeah.
this litigation is settled, it may be
Yeah.
too late for any
And that's,
other projects.
again, as I stated earlier, currently our mission statement is to stop Banning Point. That's how this group got started. That's what the money was donated for. And
Okay.
so we've got to stick with that mission at this point. We may go on to other missions, or other groups may start it, and may involve individuals of this group. We don't know that at this time.
Because here you've got that other warehouse in Cherry Valley.
I
There's
understand.
1,200 trucks expected per day. Of course,
Yep.
that number can
Nope,
change
I
depending on what's
understand.
at.
Yep,
Yeah.
I
I
understand.
hope this group, particularly if we win over there, that it's not going to dissolve.
Hopefully.
It should
that-
not
So
dissolve.
any of them in residential areas, it's our goal to stop, whenever we can.
One more question. You said the mayor resigned, and who else resigned?
The mayor resigned and the District 3 representative for Banning have both
Okay,
recently.
what about
resigned.
the planning commission?
The Planning Commission is currently intact,
Okay,
okay?
then,
But
but
there are
doesn't
some
the
new
planning
members.
commission have the final say?
No, the city council does.
But they bring back the recommendation
Correct.
to the city council.
Correct,
And then the city council can override them like they
Correct.
did on the.
yep.
Thank you.
Sherry wants to add something. Very important.
Okay, my name is Sherry Flynn, and I headed up the recall of Mary Hamlin, which was successful. Thank you to everyone who signed and everyone who helped me. I had a lot of people who walked door to door and got the signatures every day, and we couldn't have done it without them. So I want to thank everyone. You know who you are. I want to thank everyone who did that. We needed 1,259 signatures. We got over 1,800. About 200 weren't valid. But we turned in 1,689, and only 82 were refused by the Registrar of Voters, which is an excellent percentage. The recall election is going to be December 13th. We'll have a mailed ballot, just like a regular election. You'll be able to go to, a polling place and also a mailed ballot. And I just wanted to emphasize that the ballot will have two questions. The first question will say, do you want to recall Mary Hamlin? You have to say yes or no, hopefully yes. And if 51% of the people who vote, not the people in District 3, but the people who vote say yes to recall Mary Hamlin, the second question will be, who do you want to replace her? And there will be names there. I have applied for that position. So far, no one else has. The due date is September 29th for the nomination paper and all of the papers I need to turn in. If I'm the only one on the ballot, you still must say yes or no on the recall. So that's very, very important because the city is giving different information out. They're saying that if you don't vote yes or no, or the recall does not pass, then they get to appoint a council member, and we don't want that to happen. But I've talked to the registrar of voters, and that information is not correct. If we get 51% yes, then, and there's only one person on, then, and I don't, let's say I don't get in, but, oh, excuse me, if there's 51% or less, so the recall doesn't pass, then it will go to another special election. It will not go to an appointment. So that's a good thing. But the city is trying to confuse people with what they're putting out. So I just wanted to give you the information so you know and pass it around to everyone else, because it's really important to answer that first question, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. One sec, Paul. One sec. Just to follow up on that, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier too, with supporting any way you can. Right now, that first recall that's going to be on the ballot, even though the position has already been resigned, it still has to be done. So spread the word. Spread the word. Get the word out. That's how we make sure that that happens, so that it'll be a proper election from District 20 or District 3. So, okay, go ahead, Bob.
They both stole my thunder. Vote yes on recall, vote yes for Sherry.
That's it, Bob?
Good evening. My name is Ann Heisinger. I've been here 7 years. I live at the corner of Riviera and Shoal Creek, down by Gate 3. And I just want to take a moment on behalf of the community to really thank Randy and the team of people that are involved in this, because the first I heard of this was last November. And my biggest complaint in all of this was, where was our leadership here at Sun Lakes? Why was all of this done under the skullduggery that occurred under the cover of COVID? And you all know what I'm talking about. So it's only been since this leadership came, Randy and the group here, that we now have people that are authentic and transparent in their leadership and bringing to us the facts of what's going on and the support of what's going on. So I just want all of you to know from the bottom of my heart how grateful I am. And when I'm all done traveling, I will be participating in the group. But we need to really stand up and support these people, because this is kind of a thankless job, I'm sure, at some time, although we all love you, And it's so nice to really see the attorney, to meet him, to see the heart of the person that's really caring, for us. So anything more that you can do to communicate with the state leadership, Chad Mays, and also I wonder about the new council members coming in. What can we do, or what should we be doing to really anticipating getting to know who they are, where they might stand, and how we can, create influence within the city council. And my biggest concern is making sure there's authentic, true blue communication there. And I don't want to say anything about the planning commission or I'll get upset. I just had a glass of wine to calm me down. But so what can you tell us about the city council, the new city council people coming in, and any other ideas that you have for working within our state leadership, Chad Mays and our state senator, and at that level, so that we can be assured that that legislation hopefully gets through. That's very, very important that we're all informed. So we love the notices that you put out. I read those on the email religiously, and also in the what's the magazine called? Lifestyle. Sorry, I'm recovering from a head injury. Sometimes I have word recall, but I'm all there. So it's really important to read all of that. Do you all read those things and keep up with it? Because that's why you're here. So tell your neighbors, and next time let's see if we can pack the room even more. But thank you all for being here and for supporting this wonderful group of people. Yeah.
Thank you. And I wanted to say, like she said, yes, I'm the leader of this group, but it's this entire board, it's the entire community. We've been meeting as a board every Tuesday since November 3rd, I think it is. And we meet for an hour to 2 hours every Tuesday. That's our board meeting. And I will bring up, turn this one off. I will bring it up at the board meeting Tuesday, and we'll come up with more of a strategic plan. I will personally send an email to the new District 2 council member. I have not met him yet. He seems very qualified. He actually works for the city of Palm Springs in the planning department, but he seems very qualified, and that's my interpretation, and so forth. So, any other questions? Anybody have any other thoughts? Oh, come on, Virginia. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say also, Jeannie, our treasurer over there, anybody that wants to make a donation today to help with upcoming legal costs, we appreciate it. She'll be at this table over here. You can do that, and we have as you've seen in the newsletters, in other words, we have the online ability as well, so through the Give Better platform. Go ahead, Virginia.
Hello, everybody. I live on the north side. My name is Virginia Cervantes. To let you all know,
Hold it right next to your mouth.
to let you all know, this is going to affect everybody, every single person, because as you know, the city already approved for Sun Lakes Boulevard to come straight through. So that means that warehouse is going to come right by your neighborhood, right past us. My husband and many people on the north side are very concerned because we are going to be trapped there. Definitely, we will be trapped there. We won't have any exit at all to get to Highland Springs in case of an emergency. So please, let's give what we can and to help fight. And other than that, I want to congratulate Sherry on your future council person. I'm claiming it. I'm claiming it. But to let everybody know, this is a personal item. We live here. This is our home. Many people have moved because of this. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to fight, and we're going to keep on fighting. We shouldn't have to pack up stuff, sell our home, and then buy a more expensive home. That's not right. It's not right for anybody. We all deserve to live in this beautiful place we call home. And thank you to everyone that has helped this group, Diane, Sherry, Randy, and everyone else that has structured this group. It's a wonderful group. Let's make this a safe place by also donating. Thank you.
I know Banning thinks that Beaumont's problems are Beaumont's problems, and probably some people from Beaumont think that Banning's problems are their problems. But this whole thing is basically everybody's problem about both cities. I don't know if any of you read the Times the other day, but in the Times the other day, Ontario is surrounded by about 20% of the land are these industrial buildings. All of those dairies that were dairies in Ontario are now going into industrial buildings. And it's really created a mess in Ontario. This thing in Cherry Valley, people say, well, that's Beaumont, that's far away. If these things go through, if that Cherry Valley thing's allowed to go through, that sets a precedent that can be used in court or any place else. Hey, you've got it there in Beaumont, it's okay in Beaumont, but it's not okay in Banning. And because of that precedent, it could really create a lot of problems for the projects that we're fighting here. And the mindset of these people with these industrial buildings is that they're completely inundating an area. And if the Sun Lakes, if the Sunset Crossing thing goes through, if the 46 acres goes through, and the Beaumont thing goes through, the whole area is in a hell of a mess. And I'll just tell you, I went to the city council meeting in Beaumont the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and the mayor and everybody was in there when they were talking about, they didn't want to talk about the Cherry Valley project itself. They were just talking about rules that they would be setting in place for any of these developments to come in. But the mayor was sitting up there talking and saying, because Beaumont is mainly a residential area, there's not enough income coming in through taxes or whatever to justify their spending. And that these industrial buildings will give them added money to, for whatever projects they have going. And while I was talking, somebody gave me a brochure about the different things that were on the agenda for infrastructure as far as the different interchanges around. Most of them are unfunded, and most of them are 4 or 5 years down the way. But for 4 or 5 years, I'll guarantee you, those buildings will be in place well before that 4 or 5 years, and we will all be suffering the consequences, you know, until the infrastructure goes in, if it does go in. Like I told you before, my grandmother lived in Beaumont in the 50s and the 60s. And Beaumont and Banning haven't changed since the 50s and the 60s of anything.
Hopefully we can help it change. So, all right, thank you, John. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Oh, Don?
Yeah, my name is Don Forehand. I live on Rio Bravo. I just need clarification on the recall vote. Does the whole city vote for that recall?
No, just our district.
Just our District 3, and then when Sherry runs, it's only our District 3 that votes for Sherry. So we need everybody to vote for Sherry.
Anybody else have anything to say? Any of the board members have anything you'd like to add? Anybody? Okay, well, I thank everybody for coming. We're going to keep this battle going. Your support has been phenomenal, as I've said a few times already today. Thank everybody for coming.